It Wasn't My Fault by Helen Lester. Illustrated by Lynn Munsinger. Helen Lester is the author. What does the author do? Does the author write the words? Or does the author draw the pictures? The author writes the words. Lynn Munsinger is the illustrator. What does the illustrator do? Does the illustrator write the words? Or does the illustrator draw the pictures? The illustrator draws the pictures. Things did not always go well for Merdley Gerdson. He couldn't control the toothpaste. He fell into waste baskets. And he dropped only valuable vases. Whatever happened, it was usually his fault. What do we know so far about Merdley Gerdson? Do we know that he does everything perfectly? Or do we know that he is clumsy? We know that Merdley Gerdson, the boy in our story, is clumsy. One day, he went for a walk in his one too big new shoe. He had stepped out of the other one. He couldn't remember where. What did Merdley lose? Did Merdley lose his shoe? Or did Merdley lose his glasses? Merdley lost his shoe. Before long, someone laid an egg on Merdley Gerdson's head. He looked at a nearby bird. Did you lay an egg on my head? Let's use the text clues to solve the mystery of whose fault is it? Who laid an egg on his head? I did, confessed the bird. Confess means to tell the truth. If the bird confessed, it means he told the truth. That must mean it's the bird's fault. I did, confessed the bird, but it wasn't my fault. A horrible aardvark screamed and scared me. The bird says it's not his fault. Whose fault does he say it is? The aardvark. The aardvark screamed and scared the bird who laid an egg on Merdley's head. So Merdley Gerdson and the bird went to see the aardvark. Did you scream and scare the bird into laying an egg on Merdley Gerdson's head? They asked. I did, confessed the aardvark, but it wasn't my fault. A nasty pygmy hippo stepped on my tail and a scream just popped out. The aardvark says that even though he screamed, it was not his fault. Whose fault does he say it is? The aardvark says it is the pygmy hippo's fault for stepping on his tail and making him scream. Together, they went to find the pygmy hippo. Did you step on the aardvark's tail, making him scream and scare the bird into laying an egg on Murdley Gerdson's head? They asked. I did, confessed the pygmy hippo, but it wasn't my fault. I did it by accident when I was getting out of the way of a hopping shoe with long ears. A what? They all asked. Just then, along came a hopping shoe with long ears. The pygmy hippo says he did step on the aardvark's tail, but it wasn't his fault. Whose fault does he say it is? The pygmy hippo says he was trying to get out of the way from a hopping shoe with long ears. With a pull and a tug, they soon found that the ears were attached to a rabbit. It wasn't my fault, the rabbit explained. I was hopping along when I landed in that shoe and became stuck. The shoe looked very much like the new too big shoe that Murdley had stepped out of some time ago. In fact, it was. The rabbit said he got stuck in a shoe and couldn't get out. Whose fault is it that the rabbit got stuck in a shoe? Murdley thought. The rabbit became stuck in my shoe and frightened the pygmy hippo, who stepped on the aardvark's tail. The aardvark screamed and scared the bird into laying an egg on my head. Then I suppose it was my fault, Murdley Gerdson said very sadly. 2 tears splashed on his new too big shoes. Why did Murdley cry? Because he realized it was his fault, or because he couldn't find his shoe? Because he realized it was his fault. There, said the pygmy hippo, the rabbit, the bird, and the aardvark. Don't cry. It was my fault, said the bird. It was my fault, said the aardvark. It was my fault, said the pygmy hippo. I think it was the shoe, said the rabbit. Let's go back to your house and do something about that egg. They all went into the kitchen. The aardvark turned Murdley Gerdson upside down, and the egg plopped into a pan. The rabbit ground the pepper. The pygmy hippo added a pinch of salt. The bird ran around and around in the pan, doing a very fine job of scrambling. Prediction time. Using the words and pictures, let's predict what the animals are doing to help Murdley feel better. What are the animals doing to help Murdley feel better? Murdley Gerdson enjoyed every bite of his scrambled egg. Did you guess the animals were cooking Murdley an egg? Murdley thanked his friends. He went to the door to let them out, and it wasn't his fault.